Hi there, folks. Back again for another video. In this one, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be diving back into a more traditional hobby chat, so I can talk about what kind of stuff I've had going on and what I've been up to recently. There's a couple of different projects that I've been working on at the moment. I've tried to sort of refocus my attention onto a couple of different things. One of these has been developing my Ynnari force. So this is going to be a splinter force that'll go alongside my Aeldari, which you may have seen in one of my early videos where I did a contrast army of Aeldari and showed them up on the tabletop, which is very cool. But I've also been really tempted by the Ynnari as both a concept, sort of their look and feel as well. And so I set about getting the Visark, and you can see your brain there as well. And been working on both of these models over the last little while to kind of get them painted up. Obviously, as you can see, going through the base coating stage for these models here. They'll all get tidied up, obviously. Well, she'll get tidied up as we get closer and closer to the finish line. But yeah, really liking the look of those, and I had a lot of fun, especially with the Visark. I didn't think I'd be able to get him painted up quite as quickly as I did, but I think he came together really nicely. I was really proud of the sort of coat and the fur on the coat. I think that was kind of badass. And also the blue. I thought the blue turned out really nice. And the power sword as well. I might do a little bit more to his armor to try and get a little bit of extra sort of like pizzazz out of it, maybe. But generally, I think he came together quite nicely. And it'd be fun to see him on the tabletop. It was weird going back to doing black rimmed bases, but there we go. The Visark and Yvrain coming together. I did already put together a neat army list using the new 10th edition rules, and that means that I had to go and buy some more models. So I'm going to be doing more Guardians, going to have them done up as Storm Guardians. Really nice kits, really nice new ones. It's going to be interesting and weird seeing them alongside my older kits. But we'll be building them as Storm Guardians. Got those from a local store, which was cool. So I'm definitely going to go back and get some more in the future. I need another Spirit Seer and another unit of Storm Guardians, and then I'll have my 1,000 points alongside what I've already got sitting around for them. On the other side of things, it's a lot of Middle-earth, really. So with the Visark and the Yvrain ready to go, I've also been working on some other bits and pieces. So not long ago, I talked about the idea of bringing Turin to the tabletop alongside Beleg Strongbow. And I had a couple of models in mind for what I was doing for that. So I actually painted up. There's my take on Beleg. No, there's my take on Turin with the black sword at the ready. And then I also did Beleg Strongbow as well, which was this chap. And it was really nice working on those and picking up some of those classic old metal models. I have been thinking about redoing my models again, though, because I want to try and tie them to a couple of profiles that are good in game and would match well as an alliance with like the Fellowship and a different faction. So I think I'm going to do Strider Aragorn. And I do have an old model of Strider, which is from the original Fellowship metal set. So I might get him. And then the only thing I need to get is a Haldir model. So I have a Haldir. He's up on a shelf somewhere. I have the armored Haldir, but I want to get the unarmored Haldir so that I can paint him up as Beleg as well. So I have a couple of Beleg options there, but I think I'm also going to do those two hero options and just paint them up differently in order to get the right look for the different characters that I want to use in my games. So yeah, Beleg and Turin came together really nicely as well. This was also during a little period where I was looking to get a lot more characters into my collections, and so I did a bit of extra painting. So we went to Warhammer Fest, which was, what it was. I think everybody's talked about that, but I actually picked up my first Forge World models. So of course I had to pick up the Defenders of Helm's Deep, and so there was this chap who's the old fellow who shoots the bow at the Uruks as they're all lining up outside Helm's Deep. So I got him painted up. It was really nice working on him. This was actually my first And I know this is heresy, but this was my first time doing wet palette work. I normally just tend to paint straight from the pot with a little bit of water on my brush. But yeah, it was really fun working on these, and it was really interesting trying to get the models together because, you know, you're just desperately trying not to break them because of the resin. But they were really good, and they came out really nice in the end. So that's the old chap. And then we have Hamar here as well. Is it Hamas? Halas, son of Hamar, I think it is. So yeah, did the young fellow as well. So I've seen 2 Medi Winters and 2 Few. And I've even still got the Symbol Mooner on the base, which I think is going to be my sort of guiding focus of all the bases for Rohan, as you'll be able to see in a second as well. Some more of the miniatures I've worked on as well. So I had painted up Theodred a long time ago, but he's now been based and he's ready to hit the tabletop. So I've got Theodred there. I also have the mounted Theodred, who, because he's an old horse model, it was a pain in the arse to try and get this onto the base, but I have done it, and I think it looks kind of good for him because it looks like he's sort of stumbling forward energetically on his horse, charging into combat. He still needs his highlights done, but otherwise he's ready to go. Just needs a bit of basing and he'll be finished. I'll have the mounted and dismounted versions of Theodred already. Talking of more stuff for Rohan, I also finished off Theoden. So I've got Theoden there on Snowmane, and again, was really fun working on that. The new plastics are just phenomenal, and I always like working on these and getting them up. And now I've finally got all of the plastic models to represent the characters that I had previously in metal. Let me just grab the so there's Theoden on foot, looking very resplendent in his armor. Had to obviously have the helmet off because you want to see Bernard Hill's face. But yeah, really good fun working on those. So now I have Eowyn and Merry and Theoden and Eomer. I've got basically all the characters now that you'd want. As new plastics have been done. The reason that I did Theodred, though, was because I want to do a themed warband next. So I want to do the Ford of Eisen. So I want to have Grimbold leading the infantry, as you can see there. So there's my Grimbold. So I'm going to have him leading the Helmengas into battle alongside Theodred, who will take the place of his father, obviously, on the tabletop. Another one of the models that I painted recently as well was this. So this was Treebeard. So this was a little bit of a present to myself. So I was moving and I needed something to paint and build during the time when I was setting everything up. And so I thought, what better than a big old tree that's going to take me ages and is very fiddly. So I really enjoyed working on Treebeard. It was something very different, got me the opportunity to do a lot of dry brushing and stuff. I need to do a little bit of extra work back on the stone, I think, just to bring it back up a little bit. But otherwise, he's really awesome, and I absolutely loved making that model. I particularly liked doing the big mossy beard. That was a couple of different things, like Chthonian camo shade and other bits and pieces, and then doing those eyes as well. Those kind of like glorious ember-like eyes was really nice. But yeah, so I've got Treebeard done. That does mean I have a couple of extra models to do. So I've got a couple of hobbits. So I've got the versions of Merry and Pippin from the Treebeard kit that need doing, alongside their mounted versions as well, which again are just really beautiful, fantastic plastic miniatures. The guys who work on this collection really are phenomenal sculptors and do a really good job. I also still actually have the mount version of Merry that I need to finish off for when we do Dernhelm in a force. So he needs painted up, but he shouldn't take too long. Talking of going back to some Forge World stuff as well, another one of the models that I picked up because it was one that I absolutely adore and is one of my favourite characters in Middle-earth lore is Glorfindel. So I got the Forge World version of Glorfindel. I do have the original metal, which is a great model in of itself anyway. But this one is decidedly more dynamic and well, it's just beautiful, really. There's so much detail worked into the sculpt, and it looks really awesome. So I've got the Glorfindel foot and mounted. I'll probably do what I normally do and do the foot version first so that I can test the scheme out and get it looking right. I think I'm going to try and match the scheme. I'm going to use a lot more of these kind of like pastel shades and lighter colours for Glorfindel, because I want to try and get it so that I could use him in a first age army as well as being used in a third age force, because he's this legendary hero that has done so many mighty things, fought Balrogs and everything like that. It would be really good to do him in those kind of spring summer colours rather than the autumn colours, because one of the things that I have been doing is I've been doing my high elves. I'm actually just going to go and grab the models for it. 1 second. There we go. Oh. So my third age elves I'm doing in this scheme, which you can see is very similar to Bellic there, but I like the bronze that gives the sort of autumnal feel, because it makes it feel like the models are sort of drifting off in their sort of twilight moments back into the west kind of thing, rather than it being done in the gold, which kind of makes me feel like it's like a heyday kind of thing. So if I find, there we go. So here's my Elrond, for example, done in the gold armor, which I think obviously makes him feel a little bit more like I'm part of this world kind of thing, whereas the other one is very much more I'm not of this world, we're drifting off. So I want to kind of try and get that balance with Glorfindel, where he's a little bit more like the elven lords of old rather than those that are drifting. So yeah, obviously this is kind of second age Elrond, hence the paint scheme there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it comes together. I have ideas of doing a kind of an interesting joint force with my elves. So I want to try. I've got a model for Gildor, which is really nice, but I'm going to be painting these up to match the elven warriors that you just saw. And I'm going to do a kind of Gildor, Elladan, and Elrahir force, possibly with Arwen in there as well, because I've got the old nice Arwen model too, and I want to kind of do a combined force that is sort of lots of different elves that are kind of defending the northern bits of Middle-earth and the Shire and things. Hence bringing Gildor in. And also Gildor's an amazing character and one of my favourites anyway as well. So, good enough reason to bring him in. But yeah, so that's my current state of affairs when it comes to hobby. Been really interesting working on a whole bunch of different things and kind of refocusing my attention to be both Warhammer 40,000 and, look, lots of elves in different guises. Elves in different styles. So you've got sci-fi elves and you've got proper old fantasy elves, which is kind of cool. I was sort of dancing around the idea of doing more Age of Sigmar stuff, but I'm kind of keeping that on the back burner for when I need to do it, because I've built the warbands for that now. I have some terrain and things that I can paint up when it gets to the point where I'm actually going to play the game. But until then, I know I'm probably going to play more 40k, more Lord of the Rings. And so having armies finished for that just seems to be, finished, seems to be the right way to go. And so that's why I've been doing all the additional work for the Rohan force. I should really get back to doing some more of my Uruk-hai, actually. I don't know whether or not oh yeah, here we go. So I actually got some more Uruk-hai. I don't remember showing these off, but I did a couple of Berserkers because they were getting me up to that slightly higher level. Oh, focus, damn you. It's focusing on everything else but this. Anyway, I've got Berserkers and everything waiting in the wings. They were the fine cast ones. Ugh, they were horrible, but had to do it. But my Auric force is particularly large at the moment anyway, so that's pretty good. And I've got all my Rohan as well, so I'm not wanting for models to play games against my friends in that ilk. I do also have my Gondorian stuff, so my Middle-earth force and my orcs as well, of course, from the Battle of Osgiliath. and I do need to get them back to the tabletop at some point and play some more games with them, because I did say that I was going to do some more demo games, and I do have the space to do it, so it's just taking the time to do it, really, and find a day where I'm not going to be disturbing my significant other. But there we go. So yeah, also I'm working on a whole bunch of different things. I've got some other bits and pieces in the pipeline. I talked about Conan last week. I did dig out. Oh, am I going to do this? Oh. There we go. I'll just show this. I did dig out this, which was the Conan board game, which has a whole bunch of really awesome plastic models in it. So I might sit down and do a little bit of a look through that, and a little bit of a paint test, perhaps, of some of the different characters to see what I can bring together. But yeah, that's everything that I'm working on at the moment. I have been tinkering with the idea of more Space Marines, maybe some demons. I think I'll stay with Space Marines as my other army for 40k, but yeah, that's all I want at the moment. Anyway, let me know what you're working on in the comments down below. Have you had any success with different projects that you've been working on at the moment? Has anything stalled? Have you got your piles of potential ready to work through during the summer? What army have you picked to run for 10th edition 40k? And yeah, just keep me in the know about everything you're getting up to. And yeah, I'll be back next week for another video. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Don't forget that I am now running a competition or a little comment thing. So if you go over to my chat area, my community area, you'll see a post with a miniature for Tom Bombadil. That miniature is going to be given away to somebody who comments on that thread with their favorite Middle-earth character and why. You have to be a subscriber, but once we hit 2,000 subs, which isn't too far away, thanks to you lovely folks, somebody will be winning that Tom Bombadil. We gave away a Saruman at 1,000, which was nice, and the person has got that, which is good. So yeah, Tom Bombadil is next up to be won as we move towards 2,000 subscribers. Thanks again, as always, folks. Like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. You can also go through donations if you want to via my Ko-fi link, if you want to give me a cup of tea or two. But beyond that, it's just nice to chat with you folks and see what you're up to in the hobby. I'm going to move on and dive into another video, and I'll be back soon. Bye for now. Bye.